Glad to have you on today's edition of the program, Friday's edition of the program, Talk Sport, Global TV, coming your way live and direct from Nigeria's capital city. There will be plenty of matches in the Spanish La Liga, in the Italian Serie A, and of course in the English Premier League. We are told that Chelsea will be in action, but the star game will be Liverpool taking on a team that has seen it all, talking about Man City. Coming back home here, the Nigeria Professional Football League will be in action, but in Abuja, 16 countries are battling for the canoe ticket. Next year's Olympic in faraway France, talking about Paris 2024 Olympics. There is much to talk, and of course we'll be telling you that in Abuja as we speak, over 42 scouts agents are already in the country looking for best players. The FIFA's window and football window for next year. My guest is already seated in the studio. When we come back, we'll be looking at happenings that are making headlines in the world of sport only on global television and Talk Sports right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And I am Clinton Agbo, welcoming you on to this edition of the program. And of course, telling you that our boys will be in action in their second day as they search for a win and the World Cricket Qualifiers taking place in Namibia. This and many more stories will come your way. Don't go away. This is Talk Sport on Global TV. Welcome on board. Word of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They won the African Cup of Nations in 2013, and today the song is Let's Do It Again. Welcome to another interesting edition of the program, Talk Sport, Let's Do It Again. Let's go straight to the peak of all. I'm talking about the English Premier League. There will be plenty of matches across England, but let's look at the table, and of course, so you get to know where is your team. With 28 points, Manchester City, defending champion, is standing taller than every other team with just a point different from the Red Devil. Never walk alone. Liverpool will have to win their next match to see if they can take over the leadership of the English professional football because they have 27 points. The Gunners also have 27 points, but they are behind Liverpool on goal difference. One-time champions of the 2023-2024 season, talking about Tottenham, are a distant fourth place with a total of 26 points, while Aston Villa is among the top 5 teams with 25 points. Manchester United, surprisingly, has bounced up to number 6 with a total of 21 points, leaving Newcastle with 20 points. Brentford has 19, West Ham 17, and of course, to the delight of some of us, and my friend in the studio is hoping that a win would take the Blues to a total of 17 points. Talking about the top 12 teams in the English Professional Football League. Matches will be decided across this week, and I want to engage my guests in the studio. Manchester City has made no mistake to indicate their interest of winning the trophy back-to-back. They have 28 points, and they'll be taking on a team that is struggling to take over the leadership. Liverpool travels to meet Man City. Chinedu Okechukwu, where will you put your money? It looks like that's the top game of the week.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. The match between Man City and Liverpool will be a very strong contest. Of course, we know that Man City over the years, as in over the recent seasons, have been very consistent. They've been so good on the ball. They played as a team. But they should watch their back, especially against the first game on Saturday, because Liverpool have been in recent form. They have done very well, and they will be the team to beat on the first match on Saturday. So all I will say to Man City is be consistent just like you've been. But I also want to let Man City know that they should watch their back. Liverpool can pull up a surprise win on that day.
If Liverpool pull out a surprise win on that day, who do you think will score? Do you think Salah will come back in full force?
Well, the front runners, especially those in the forefront of the striking force of the Liverpool team, they are actually very formidable. But I think Salah should be able to score a goal on that day.
Man City bench will be talking tough, talking about a man that has seen his all. Pep Guardiola will be putting out his best arsenal in that game against Liverpool, because any win, any result, a win could change the luck.
Yeah, you're very correct, actually. Man City will not want to see themselves losing that particular match, because every match to the Man City team is actually very important. Of course, we know that someone said little drops of water makes up a mighty ocean. So if you have to actually come out tops at the end of the season, especially in the English Premiership, you have to start winning every match, as it were. So I see Man City not wanting to sit back. They are going to give it all out to make sure that they get the best points on that day.
The first team to get 30 points will be determined tomorrow, when Man City with 28 points taking on Liverpool with 27 points. This is the game that will produce the first clear leader in the ongoing English Professional Football League. West Ham will be hoping to get 20 points. They travel to meet Burnley with 17 points, while the host has 15 points. If you are in the position, where will you put your money, Chinedu?
When we talk about West Ham so far, you know, when they started out this season, we saw them as being quite consistent, at least to some levels, especially the first set of games. They played pretty well, but later the style of play and the way, the seriousness they put into the playing and their form began to dwindle, it began to go down. So I can't really tell if West Ham would actually win that game, but I hope they win, because if we check the two teams, West Ham are better off winning that game.
Crystal Palace will be struggling at the bottom with 15 points as they take on Crystal Palace. Talking about Luton with 15 points up against Crystal Palace. But let's look at Newcastle against Chelsea. The Blue has 16 points, while Newcastle has 15 points. These two teams will be meeting for the much talked about difference. 18 points will go for Newcastle should it be Chelsea. Chelsea will be looking for 19 points. That's your team.
The truth is, if we look at the two teams side by side, Chelsea have had a poor run of form since the beginning of the season. But of course,
they're much better than Newcastle with just 15 points.
Well, it depends on the parameter that you use to judge which team is actually better.
I'm looking at the log.
Okay. Now, if we look at the log, quite all right. I think Newcastle, if you look at it based on the log, Newcastle stands a better chance of winning that game, because, of course, they're actually playing in the Champions League at the moment, because they came out top 4 last season.
Is that home advantage, because they are playing at home too?
They are playing at home too. But if you come to look at it objectively and very critically, Chelsea had a good game in the last match. The match before the last match.
What do you mean by a good game? When you beg for a draw, or when your team comes out to score goal 4-4 against Manchester City? A good game, I don't understand. I'm sure the coach good game was an outright win.
Let me actually be sure that you are not trying to pick on me. Especially on set.
I'm just imagining you saying a team that pulled a draw, a 4-4 draw, and the blood that runs in you looks blue, and Chelsea kind of stop on it, and you are saying it's a good game. And I'm asking you, is it because they came behind to put all draw? Nigerians are crying today because we've been playing draw, and you are happy that your team pulled a draw. It's a good game.
Now, it's not really that I'm happy that my team pulled a draw. Let's come to look at everything on the playing table. Okay. The truth is, recently, Chelsea have had several coaches try to manage the team, and so far, they've not really been doing well till Pochettino arrived. Pochettino's coming into Chelsea gave them an opportunity to have to think again or try to revamp their hope again. Then when we started, before the season, Chelsea was actually doing very well. They had a beautiful preseason set of games. But when the season now kicked off, the results we were getting in the preseason were not really coming out when the season kicked off. That's the reason why in the last game they played against Man City, you would see that the kind of team play we saw Chelsea exemplify in that match was pretty good. Man City never expected that they were going to play like that. That's the reason why I said they had a beautiful game. Not just because of the scoreline, but they were able to play as a formidable team. Now, if they are able to put in the same kind of dexterity in this coming match on Saturday, trust me, Chelsea will carry the day. Not just because I'm a Chelsea fan, but of course you also know, even though Chelsea has had serious issues with respect to injury, Newcastle too, they've had to complain too about their injury situations. Their last match against Bournemouth was quite poor. Nobody expected that they were going to lose to Bournemouth. And on that premise, I can tell you categorically that Chelsea is carrying the day on Saturday.
Of course, another match that fans across the globe will be looking is the game between Arsenal with a total of 27 points. They travel to meet Brentford, who can only boast of 16. A clear win for Arsenal could take Arsenal in the second position or perhaps top of the league if they win with more goals. Presently, Arsenal is down just because of goals differ with Liverpool. So an outright win of 3-0, 4-0 in favor will take them top of the English professional football league should Man City suffer defeat. But it looks this top team are the top three teams struggling for the English professional football league. Of course, the star match will include Arsenal taking on the Brentford, and of course Chelsea also struggling to have 3 points against Newcastle, and Liverpool taking it against a team that's already on top, talking about defending champion. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we go straight to stories that are making headlines. Don't forget that Nigeria are in the cricket qualifiers across the continent of Africa. This and many more stories will come your way because my guest, Chinedu Kichuku, is in the studio. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take more on the stories making headlines in the world of sports. Glad to have you back on the program. Not good news coming from the camp of Barcelona. And of course, talking about the Brazil national team. We are told that a Spanish prosecutor is seeking a prison term for 9 years for an ex-Brazil and Barcelona defender, our own Dani Alves. The 40-year-old is standing trial in Spain for alleged sexual assault last December of 2023. Alvaro has been in prison without bail since being arrested in January over an allegation of assaulting a woman in Barcelona nightclub. He has said he has casual sex with his accused after initially denying any sexual encounter with her. The prosecutor has asked for Alvaro to receive a restraining order following trial terms and for him to pay damage worth over 150,000 euro to the lady. In August, a court in the Barcelona city area Familia indicted Alves and later decided there was enough evidence to send him to trial. The trial date is yet to be set for Alves, who is playing for Brazil at last World Cup and had his World Cup and had his contract with the Mexican club side extended after his arrest. Terminated after his arrest. In Spain, a crime of rape is investigated under the general accusation of sexual assault, and conviction could lead to prison extension between 4 and 15 years. We do hope that this star will bounce back in action. And talking about bouncing back, Novak Djokovic told a group of British fans to shut up, oh my God, as they tried to downcore his interview music instrument after their team were knocked out of the Davis Cup in Serbia. The Britain lost the quarterfinal 2-0 as Cameron Norrie was unable to inflict a real defeat on the world number 1. You should learn how to show some respect, Djokovic told his fans. Let's look at sometimes certain words from stars like this could provoke certain situation that could really put you in problem, because the fans are not angry. For a star to use such words for his fans, that shows that something is needed or something is missing.
Well, the truth is, I expect every sportsman to understand how these things play out. You don't need the applaud or even the negative statements of the fans to affect you negatively in any way. The fans are there to either applaud you or to even hit at you when you're not doing very well. But that shouldn't make you
in the career. But Djokovic shows his class as he crushed to a 6-4, 6-4 win and set Serbia up for a semi-final against Italian side. After the assault and the drama-free performance, Djokovic had the Spitties exchange period to his ex-quarter interview, challenging the small number of British fans who act as the team's brand. So much trouble for the player, but he's giving no room to that because his focus is to ensure victory in the Davis Cups, and he's doing perfect well. And we'll ask that he should not allow, of course, sometimes they call it distraction. The Davis Cup in 2023 will not automatically quit for the 2024 knockout stage after the quarterfinal exit in Malaga, Spain. Unless they receive a red card for the final, the Ed Lim-Smith team will have to negotiate the same path as the year of qualifying the early next year, followed by the round-robin stage of the tournament. The distant dream Eritrea, let's talk about Eritrea. The pullout from the qualifiers 2026 FIFA World Cup is the only national team in the world presently that is not participating. And it looks like FIFA and CAF Hammer, we hit hard on them. Now, when you pull out from such an event, you have caused serious of problem to the organizers and to the fans and to the marketers, talking about the promoters. So your fund is almost sometimes heavier than that money you are trying not to spend. Eritrea was among the 54 countries drawn to participate in the qualifiers, but they pull out, and that is giving a big challenge to countries like Morocco that are supposed to face them in their group, and CAF is going to hit them hard.
Well, it's quite...
That's not good for the development of football.
Well, that's not good actually, but I can't really tell the real intrigues behind their behind their decision. So it won't be easy to just throw the hammers at them. But the truth is, they should have known how these things play out. The fines now are worth more than what they were actually trying to dodge, or the so-called reason why they wouldn't be able to partake in that tournament. So sometimes they should learn how these things work in the business of football and be able to get themselves ready to face what they need to face, especially when it's time to face them.
The East African country who lost play at the International in January in 2020 pulled out of the qualifiers for the finals in Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America just a week before they were due to play their first game against 2022 World Cup semi-finalists Morocco. Talking about the Atlas Lions of Morocco, who made it in grand style. Neither the Eritrea National Football Federation, ENFF, nor the country's government have communicated on the decision, which has angry both players and supporters. And I do not know why it's happening or who is in charge. It is clear that those at the top aren't taking football seriously enough. Eritrea midfielder Mohamed Sia, who played for a club in Sweden, the country of his birth, told reporter that he feels bad. I feel so frustrated because there are a lot of players coming through right now with Eritrea background, many playing around Europe. We could compete if given a chance, but when they see what is happening, it's quite difficult. Maybe one day FIFA will introduce independent teams, just like we have in athletics, where sometimes if your country can qualify, maybe for political reason or so, you should be allowed to compete. Should we have that, then these players who are already making a case will maybe be allowed to play. I think FIFA should start thinking of that, but I don't know exactly what they should have gone and at least play their qualifiers in Africa, or perhaps move to a neighboring country that has this facility. In Africa, we have what we call the sportsmanship, and we love our brothers so that they can play their matches. It's a big disappointment to some of these footballers in that country.
It's true, actually. That's the reason why FIFA has stakeholders, where if they had stakeholders, people like you, that would be able to give them such vital information or pieces of ideas, I think it will stand a good chance to also help teams like this be able to bounce back and do the right things they ought to do. And not only that, the issue of the independent team too is a welcome development. If FIFA will be able to implement those, things will really work out well for the world of football.
Young players that have been denied the opportunity, now that there is peace, some level of peace in that country, we expected them to play not only in the World Cup. Have they turned their back? They also pull out from the preliminaries of the 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. The last decision posed a question over what future the country has in the game of football. This is a big blow. The country currently on world ranking, despite being despite being a member of the Association of Global Governing Body, FIFA, the Sudanese absence of Eritrea on the global stage leave the vault that deeply felt by fans. The Canadian-based player talking about Akil is not a happy man. We hope that they will bounce back and given the opportunity to participate perhaps in the next African Cup of Nations. And why not in the World Cup? The lack of communication and support, absent of a clear reason, only intensified the disappointment. Of course, let's tell you that Nigerian capital city is set. We are told that a total of 16 countries are in here in Abuja for the canoe race. But before that, let's go elsewhere and look at Britain. Amex Dome has a capacity of 30,666 and is opened in July 2021. Lutos have been fined 120,000 by the Football Association for their fans' rough behavior at Brenton. The FA issued a hotel who accepted a charge of misconduct in relation to crowd control with 2-year action plan to improve fans' behavior. Luton promoted to the top flight for the first time in 31 years in May, said any foul identified over the clincher will be banned by the club. Luton lost their match to Brenton 4-1 on 12th of August, and it didn't go down well with fans. It was their first Premier League match following promotion. Luton admitted that they failed to ensure spectators and supporters conduct themselves in an ordinary fashion. And the FA statement said, but that has not gone down well with the organizers because they have been slammed to pay fine. An independent commission deemed Lotus fans have a behavior in which improper, offensive, and abusive. Sometimes, no matter the size of the team, if you go contrary, you will be paid heavily. This is a club that just got promoted into,
into
the top.
EPL.
Yes, and that's not good for even the fans.
Yeah, it's true. I think by now the fans should understand how the game of football actually works. I know football is actually a very entertaining game, and it triggers a lot of emotions in the game. But of course, it shouldn't make fans and people alike go overboard. They should have their limits. They should get excited when they have to. They should get angry when they have to, but they should not infringe on the rights of other people, even in their anger. That's how it should be. So I think the fine is something they should learn a good lesson from. It will help them get better.
A good lesson. Let's tell you that Australia fought back to beat Czech Republic 2-1 and clinch their spot in the Davis Cup semi-final in Malacca, Spain. Thomas Machad beats Jordan Thompson 6-4, 7-5 to give the Czechs an easy early lead over last year's runners-up. However, world number 12 Alex Dilter came from a 6 and breakdown to beat Jerry 4-6, 7-6, 7-2 and 7-5 and Sentai, the decided double on Wimbledon 2022 double champion, while Martin ended. Let's come back home here and tell you plenty of actions are currently in Nigeria's capital city for the best of the canoe competition. Plus, Nigeria is in search of their first win in the cricket qualifiers for Africa. Let's take a break. When we come back, there is more in the studio. And of course, our guest Chinedu Okechukwu is still here. Please don't go away. Glad to have you back on the program. Talk Sport right here in Nigeria's capital city this beautiful Friday. Right here in Nigeria's capital city. There's more about sport, but before then, let's take you to a team that is still celebrating the World Cup, talking about Argentina. We are told that a set of 6 jerseys that Lionel Messi wore during Argentina's victorious 2022 World Cup run will be auctioned in December. Is he poor or brick? Let's find out. Brody announced this, estimating the value for 10 million. The football star deemed this shirts during the first wave of the group stage round against Saudi Arabia, Mexico, as well as later game against Australia, the Netherlands and Croatia, and the final against France. Argentina's winning run in Qatar last year was the final final in the Full Cup, having failed to secure championship in 4 previous World Cup. If the jerseys indeed fit above 10 million, that could make the sale the most valuable collection of sports memorable ever auctioned. You hear that? The most expensive individual jersey ever sold at auction was one of the basketball legend, talking about Michael Jordan, during his NBA days final run with the Chicago Bulls in 1998, and it was sold for 10.1 million last year. Wow. The auction has increasingly taken note of sport memorables in recent years, considering a growth market. You want to talk about a shirt almost bigger than the prize money of the competition. 10 million.
That's quite interesting. You know, these are the things we talk about. I remember some time ago, I was opportune to be asked a question by someone about our local leagues. These are the things we're talking about. Imagine the sale of a shirt costing as much as $10 million. That's crazy, isn't it? And that's because they understand the value of football. They understand the value of these things. They've been able to revamp and boost the promotional side of football. And this is where they are today. I wish you'd be able to also catch up locally.
Now, let's look at, if the shirt can go for this amount of money,
yes,
what was the prize money for the third prize? What was the prize money for the runners-up? What is the prize money for the champion? If 10 million. Okay, let's come back home here. How much do you think anybody that won the CAF Championship twice in 2013 and 2004, they won it back to back? How much do you think? I think Inyama was still with them. If Inyama wants to auction that shit now, how much do you think it can go?
That's still what we are complaining about.
How much will you put for such a shit?
I really can't tell.
Do you know the value of it?
Yeah, you know, someone once said beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It tells you that how people value things is absolutely relative. So someone might look at a wristwatch that cost as much as $5 million and say, no, why spend that much? And the person can go for a wristwatch of maybe 2,000 naira.
But
so
this is a jersey.
It has to do
let's look
with
at the
value.
jersey. This is the jersey sporting Lionel Messi and in Qatar, boldly written jersey number 10. And you have the AFA, that is Argentina Football Association. We are not told if the captain band is part of it, if the football is part of it, but it's just jersey that has Adidas logo on it. Is going for $10 million for a shirt that I'm sure he used this shirt in 4 matches, as they said, but the main one was the last match against France. Is going for $10 million. Put together, it looks like the entire football in Africa championship put together. I don't think it can get to that. The last Nigeria paid was 5 million naira. In our last English Nigeria Professional Football League. So if you check, and we are among the top 5 in the continent of Africa, so it looks like one man's share is even bigger than the entire CAF competition. 10 million.
It's absolutely true. You've said it all. The truth about these things is it's still a question of value. These people understand how much value they put into football. And they have taken the whole business of football to a whole new level. They've left Africa aback. So it's a lesson for Africa to begin to understand, find out how these people do these things, find out what they put into these things, so that we can begin to have value too for our own football. Of course, if we begin to have the level, the kind of value that they put into their own football, if we begin to see things rightly because the necessary things are put in place, of course, maybe us, even if it's not up to 10 million for a shirt, it will begin to at least appreciate to a relatively beautiful level.
How many? How much? We're talking about, not naira this time around. We're talking about dollars.
The truth is, they should put the necessary things in place and make our football beautiful enough to be good business. Then other things will begin to fall in place. I
had a discussion yesterday with one man who saw Messi playing against his side in 2008 Belgian Olympics. We had a discussion with him yesterday, and of course you know that Lionel Messi and John Mikel Obi were in that final, the Olympic final in 2008. I met the man who led the country into that place, the second place, and he told me a story that I felt a little bit disappointed, that since he came back in 2008, neither has he been given a handshake, and that even when they arrived at the airport, there were nobody there to welcome them at the airport, just because they are coming back with just the second place. When you treat these people like this, of course you don't expect the best from them. We hope that those responsible will be able to be showing all they need to do for the development of sport in the country. Let's take you away from now and take you to Namibia, where after another loss to Kenya in the opening game of the International Cricket Council ICC 2024 T20 World Cup qualifiers competition, the senior men's national team, the Yellow Greens, will meet Rwanda today. They're taking on Rwanda today in their second game of the day to search for a win. The Nigeria Young Greens lost their opening match to Kenya with 4 wickets despite holding the East African at bay for a better part of the game. What we are talking is result. Kenya had won the toss and choosing to field of the United Cricket Crown, which left Sylvester Ope and his teammates scrambling for a 121 run in the first run. Daladi Isaac posted a decent 46 run from 46 ball, while Prosper Useni posted 37 from 19 runs, too small to make a difference, to post the 2 bits scored in the inner. Kenya, however, resumed second initial and kept Nigeria at bay for their required 122 run until the 19th over, with Sham Ngochu, of course, Chimele and Udukwe for a rapid 19th run, cutting the requirement run to 5 balls in the closing 20 minutes, which it went 19-5. Narrow defeat, but we hope that the boys will bounce back in the game today. Of course, Tayo Atuyu, who represented the South-West on the board of Nigeria Cricket Federation, said the loss was a painful one, given that the win was within reach. The 19th was a critical over, and we lost it to the experience and the superior strategy needed at the time. Nigeria must do everything possible to ensure that the top 2 teams that will qualify to represent the country. But again, there are a lot of positive to take home here. Nigeria is bound was great, and we fielded better than any match we have played of late. Confidence for the Nigerian boys who are currently hoping that a win will be there. Nigeria is obviously playing better than their current rank, and this goggle also justify our investment in the team, he said. Today's game against Rwanda will hold at the Wanderers cricket ground. Nottingham Forest striker Taiwo Awuni, oh my God, will not, I don't want to use the word will not, may not be part of the 2023 African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast after undergoing surgery. Here we are again. Injuries coming at this crucial time. The 2 matches we played draw. Some have argued that the absence of Victor Osimhen is a big blow to Nigeria. And this uncheering news reaching us, Awuni is on the list. Looking at from his face on that picture, it tells you he was actually in pain. Can we survive when these players are getting bad?
That's a strong one. You know, Taiwo Awuni has been a very good player, especially a results-producing player for his country, Nigeria, and also for Nottingham Forest in the EPL. He's a very strong player, and hearing such news as this is actually depressing and very disappointing. But the truth about football is that you can't take away some certain facts out of football. We also have a bundle of other talents, the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho and the rest. The truth about this is, in case of injuries, others should step up their games and give the needed fights that we need to produce the result.
That has not been working. Victor is not there. We couldn't win at home soil. We even travel. We can't beat Lesotho. We can't beat Crocodiles of Zimbabwe. It is quite challenging.
The truth is, the other strikers should wake up to that challenge. Taiwo Awuni, once upon a time, was not known. Another striker did the job. We had the likes of other beautiful strikers we've had over time. So that is how the game of football is. It's just like the regular slogan where somebody says, soldier go, soldier comes, barrack remains the same. I know we have some other bundles of talents. We have the likes of Victor Boniface too. You hear me? So there are a lot of other players too that we have, whether on pitch or even on the reserve bench, that should wake up to the challenge. If there is no Victor Osimhen, it's disappointing to hear that Victor Osimhen is currently injured. If there is no Taiwo Awuni, it's also disappointing to hear that Taiwo Awuni is injured. Other strikers should wake up to the challenge and fight for the shirts of this country and give us the needed success.
And I bring to you the good news because Victor Osimhen is 100% fit, and we are told that he will bounce back and then banking goals. Perhaps we will be seeing some of those goals in January when the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be going for their 4th trophy of the continent. Report reaching us, Awuni had suffered the injury early during the 2023-2024 Premier League season, but he aggravated it playing for Nigeria, oh my God, against Lesotho in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. The 2026-year-old, after missed the Super Eagles' second World Cup qualifier against the Crocodiles of Zimbabwe, the Warriors of Zimbabwe, in which Nigeria played a 1-all draw. And he's since back to England to begin medical treatment. We hope that it will be something that he will bounce back to his feet, because we expect him to have his hands on that giant trophy when Nigeria will begin their 2024 FIFA World Cup in Group A alongside the host country, and our prayers that in February 13, the Super Eagles will be there for the final. Let's come back home here and take a look at what is happening as far as qualifiers are concerned. But still talking about Winnie's case, he said it is bad news on Taiwo. He has had to go surgery and is going to be out of months. His club side made this note talking about the side. We will support him and try to get him back as quickly as we can, as he can. But it's really unfortunate situation and a blow for him. He has become an important player for us, and with the goals he has scored and goals he will score for his club side as well as for his father's land, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. On this point, we wish him the best. And the coach went on to say we have got to support him through the process of coming back stronger. He has done that once before, and then we are sure that he will bounce back in style. Our own Taiwo Awuni is expected to be back in stride. The Super Eagles have been drawn to face a host nation, Ivory Coast, in Group A of the 2023 African Cup of Nations. Nigeria will also do battle with other countries, which include Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau in the group stage of the tournament, which will kick off in January to February. Nigeria and 16 other countries. Talking about the canoe race here in Nigeria's capital city, Nigeria and 16 other countries have converged in Abuja to campaign for tickets to the canoe event of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The competition is the first confederation of African canoe sport and para game qualifiers, which begin at the Jabalik right here in Nigeria's capital city and will come to an end this Friday. Other countries involved in the competitions are Algeria, Angola, Djibouti, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, and Morocco, as well as Mozambique. Other countries also include Sao Tome and Principe. Senegal, who are dominating the African football, are also searching for qualification for the canoe. Such as South Africa, Tunisia, and Uganda are part of it. Speaking to newsmen in Abuja, talking about the president of the ruling Canoe and Sailing Federation, Admiral Festus Febin, who was flanked by the president of the Confederation of African Canoe, Joe Manuel, the Costa agreed that the competition would be the best. Now, we were with the sport minister, and report reaching us that Nigeria is still struggling to qualify for the Olympics. And hosting this event, it looks like this is another opportunity for us to increase our number of competition that we are going to participate in the World Cup. Do you expect canoe becoming a master game in Nigeria?
No, Now, the habit of our preparation for the Olympics normally has a bad toll, especially on our Nigerian counterparts, especially in the Olympics. And I think fixing that habit is what we should do. We shouldn't always wait for competitions for us to now get prepared just for the sake of that competition.
And no developmental factor.
That is the problem.
Win-win.
I'm telling you.
And after that,
everybody goes back to their homes and they go to sleep. It shouldn't be like that. Habits, successful habits are built by daily tasks. If you do what you ought to do well on a daily basis, just like someone said, leadership does not happen in a day. It happens daily. So if we want to be successful, we should prepare every time, whether there is a tournament or not. Nigerians should always be in the habit, as good sportsmen, to always be prepared at any time.
We do hope that as we are getting set for the Olympics, we will first of all showcase our best in the All-Africa game, which is coming up next year in Ghana. There are indications that Nigeria will participate in more than 13 sporting events, but to confirm that figure, we must excel when Africans will gather in Ghana for the All-Africa Games before going to the Paris 2024 Olympics. That's the size of today's edition of the program, TalkSport. I want to say a very big thank you to Pastor Chinedu Okechukwu being my guest, telling us that $10 million is too much for Lionel Messi shit. If you have that money, will you put it?
I'll think about it.
He will think about it. That's the size of today's edition of the program. But before we go, stories that are making headline: Nigeria and other 16 countries are in Abuja in search of ticket for next year's Olympic. We told you the sad news that Awuni may miss the 2024 FIFA World Cup of Nations in faraway Ivory Coast. My name is Clinton. Join us tomorrow afternoon in what we call Sport Fan Zone, bringing to you the best of sport right here on Talk Sport on Global TV. Until then, do have a wonderful sporting weekend ahead of you. I am Clinton Agbo saying thank you very much for being part of History Today.